Dan Wieder join us. 19-year NBA enforcer, former Bull, Nick Raptor Charles Oakley in studio to talk about his biggest fight yet, and that's against hunger. Finally, Bulls NBA regular season underway. And CHSN's Casey Johnson tells us if the Bulls are better than just a 32-win team. It's now on Chicago Sports Tonight.
From Fox 32 Chicago Sports, this is Chicago Sports Tonight.
Hey everyone, welcome to Chicago Sports Tonight. Lou Canellis with you. Bears started prepping on the football field for the Baltimore Ravens today. Baltimore a touchdown favorite in Sunday's game. The line holding, even with two-time MVP Lamar Jackson, a question mark still. Let's bring in Cassie Carlson. The Athletics' Dan Wieder joins Cassie. They are both at Hallis Hall. Hey guys, Lamar Jackson, two-time MVP, game changer when he's healthy and on the football field, was back at practice today, but from what I saw, no one's sure how much he did during practice on the football field. I do know this, Cooper Rush has been horrible as his replacement. How are the Bears handling Jackson playing or not playing Sunday?
Well, let's just start with what Ben Johnson said, and they are preparing as if Lamar Jackson is going to play. And as you mentioned about Cooper Rush, the numbers are pretty drastically different when you're looking at what this Ravens team can accomplish with Lamar Jackson on the field and what they can't accomplish. And it's pretty much putting up points. They're averaging 33 points per game when Lamar Jackson is healthy and just 11 over the last 3 games that he's missed or when he got hurt. So it's a huge difference maker for this Ravens team. And Ben Johnson pointed out Harbaugh, who's been there for 18 years, only had 2 losing seasons. They're sitting at 1-5 right now, and you think of the Baltimore Ravens, who've been to the playoffs for the past 3 straight years. So it's not common for them to be in this position, but the Bears aren't going to count them out for the reasons that we just listed.
Well, there's 2 things you brought up there that are really compelling. First of all, the Ravens have scored 1 touchdown in 22 possessions with Cooper Rush as their quarterback. We know how explosive they are with Lamar Jackson. They're also 1-5, and they have a Thursday night game coming up beyond this football game on Sunday. And so in ordinary times, I think you might want to be cautious with Lamar Jackson, but they don't have that luxury anymore. At 1-5, their season is on the line here. I think Lamar Jackson goes on Sunday, and I think the Bears better be ready for the most high-powered version of the Ravens offense.
Boy, I'll tell you what, those are awful numbers when you look at Cooper Rush, Dan. How about Roquan Smith? This guy is playing. And guys, if you know Roquan like I do, and I know, Dan, you've been covering him, or you were covering him when he was in town. Cassie, you also had the opportunity as well. This guy's had this game circled for sure. Ironically, Tremaine Edmonds is playing his best ball this season since the Bears signed him. Given a do-over, who would you rather have on the Bears playing linebacker today? Let's have fun with this.
This was a pretty obvious one for me, that Roquan Smith trade doesn't look so good right now because of what he's gone on to do in Baltimore and just being an all-pro and a Pro Bowler and one of the most electric linebackers in the league. And while you like to see Tremaine Edmonds playing better, if you look at just back to last year, the disappointing season that he did have, and then Roquan Smith going off in Baltimore, I think that the Ravens and Roquan Smith won that trade.
He's been an all-pro. He's been a Pro Bowl producer here since he left. We're coming up on the 3-year anniversary of that trade, and I don't think it's aged well here in Lake Forest, because I do think that you had a homegrown top 10 pick playing very well that you extended and kept around in your plans for a long time. The Bears didn't. They moved in a different direction.
Last night on the Fox 32 News at 5 and 9, Cassie, I ran a graphic showing Caleb Williams' completion percentage, and there's been a game-by-game decline since that Cowboys win. Should we be worried, concerned?
Well, I think Caleb Williams right now is searching for answers as to why his completion percentage is down so low. It's something that he talked about after the Saints game, and Ben Johnson and the quarterback addressed it again today.
You go back and, you don't throw the pick, and you complete 2 or 3 of those on the runs, and the efficiency-wise is, up there with 70%. And so it comes down to super small things, and it comes down to, 3 completions. And, with being able to be more efficient and keep the team on the field and making plays. And so that's a collective thing. Starts with me. And then it boils down to, me being able to give the wide receivers a good ball, them catching it and, creating space for themselves and things like that. So it's a collective thing, but it starts with me.
So this is a topic of conversation going into this season of Ben Johnson working with Caleb Williams, but it's not just Caleb Williams, the quarterback, it's all the weapons that they have around him that he should be able to realistically dump the ball off or find the completion. And the message of he needs to find more completions, I felt like was reiterated last week with Declan Doyle, who talked about his completion percentage and just finding and going through the third, fourth, fifth progressions and finding some of those dump off passes that Caleb Williams right now wasn't finding. And I think the more frustrating thing listening to him talk is just when he's on the run, which is typically where he is so good, for some reason he's not super accurate at this point.
Yeah, not super accurate at all. And the head coach gave you a number in July. He gave you 70%, and that was where the completion percentage target was set. Caleb is way below that, and certainly in the last 3 weeks he's been way below that. And so they've got to find a way to get him comfortable. He never appeared comfortable within that Saints game, and it showed up in the way he was inside the pocket, outside the pocket, unable to find checkdowns here, not completing balls down the field there. And so you've got to find a rhythm in the passing game. To the Bears' credit, they found answers in the running game, which should then allow defenses to focus their attention on slowing the run, which should then open up new opportunities for the passing game. But they got to get something unlocked here soon, and you got to get Caleb back with some of that momentum that you're looking to create.
Two quick questions I want to hit you with. What happens if Tyreek Stevenson can't play Sunday?
This is a tough one for me, Lou, because I think you're dabbling with the idea of moving Kyler Gordon to the outside, and then you have to play with Nick McLeod or Josh Blackwell at your slot cornerback position. It's not a good situation. I think it's the situation they're going to be in when they head to Baltimore.
Yeah, good news is when I talked to Kyler Gordon one-on-one a couple weeks ago, he said he practices outside corner every week, so it wouldn't be anything new for him. I think the nickel position would be the bigger question mark.
All right, last question. Do you mind if the Bears start openly talking about being good enough to be a playoff team? Or would you rather see this squad just keep it one game at a time?
Keep it one game at a time. They were 4-2 last year, and while everyone says the feeling in the building is a little bit different, I honestly don't think Ben Johnson will allow that kind of conversation to seep into the walls of this building. I don't know if you saw the mic'd up of him on the sidelines throughout the game. Like every interception, he's like watching the return it, like stoic face, like nothing's good enough for this guy until they win it all. So I think it's going to be pretty hush-hush around here. I
think the micro-focus is the best approach. When we start getting closer to Thanksgiving, maybe we can escalate that playoff talk a little bit.
All right. Thank you, Coach Weeder, Coach Carlson. I appreciate your time. Let's just stay focused on one show at a time. Great work as always. Dan, we'll be reading your work in The Athletic. Terrific job as always. Cassie, we'll talk again tomorrow. Coming up next, we have a very special guest in studio. Former Bull Charles Oakley in town for a great cause connected to his foundation. Stay with us. Welcome back. When the Bulls had Michael Jordan, management quickly realized while MJ flew through the Chicago Stadium and NBA, he needed someone who had his back, an enforcer. And that's when Jerry Krause drafted Charles Oakley, who quickly became a Chicago favorite. Not only a Bulls favorite, a Chicago favorite. Oak was loved because of his dirty work, lunch pail attitude and his willingness to protect MJ. Oakley and his friend Bo Gray are in Chicago to give back, feed the hungry, help the homeless. They stopped by our Fox studios because Charles and Bo want to oak out hunger with every pick, and they're hoping you can help them put food on the table for those who need it most. I'm really happy to have you guys in here because you guys are out, you know, working the streets, working the city right now for a good cause.
Right.
And that is to fight hunger out there. Yes. And Bo, I want you to explain to the audience out there, Predict 5, Fight Against Hunger, and why it was important for you to get together with Charles Oakley to go out and feed the hungry.
Yeah, so Charles has had a passion for cooking. That if you don't know it,
is it that simple?
He's a big cook, right?
No, it's more than that.
And so we got together about 7 years ago, and Charles was doing some outreach to the homeless and cooking and stuff, and we created a concept called Oak Out Hunger, where we start at the beginning of every football season. So we started this year at Texas and Ohio State. We work our way across the country to the Super Bowl, and we serve meals to those less fortunate. And we actually, when we say serve, we cook it, we prep it, we get it all out there. It's Charles and me in the kitchen all day. I think this is year 7. We've served over 25,000 meals. And so, you know, we both had a passion for giving back to our communities, and that's what brought us together. And when we're on this big trip to just do more and more, and that's kind of why we created the app.
When he first presented you with this idea, what did you think?
Well, I said, well, I'm a cook, and giving back, and that's what my family always did growing up. My grandparents, my mom, all my aunts. So every
growing up in Cleveland, right?
Cleveland and Alabama.
Yeah.
And then I had a lot of family here in Chicago too, on the south side, west side. And so it was just like, that's something I know how to do. I'm real picky. I understand food. And I know that when I played ball, I played for 19 years. And I think after shoot around, I just go walking. And I just see so many people just laying there and need something. And when Bo came to me with the idea, I said, that's perfect, because I said to myself, once I can retire and get, out of basketball, I want to start giving back. And the idea he brought to me, and we've been, like I said, Skid Row, St. Vincent de Paul, Vegas, the Rescue Mission Squad, New Orleans, the Mission.
Yeah, we've been all over
so
this
we've just
country.
been feeding, everywhere we stop, we feed over 1,000 people.
I love that you brought up Chicago, because Chicagoans really appreciate when someone is out there helping their own.
Right.
And you're right, man. Back when you were playing for the Bulls at the old Chicago Stadium, there was no West Loop like it is today, right?
No, you're right.
You were driving through Skid Row to get to the games.
Yeah, I get off right there in Oakley, come up to Washington, and it was rougher back then. And now they got all this new construction, they building stuff and fixing stuff. But Chicago, like we was the last All-Star, we fed like the veterans on the South Side. About 300-400. And Chicago, like I said, a lot of construction going on, and still people out here need a meal too, though.
7 years it's been going on, huh, Bo?
Yeah, 7 years. It's big, and so one of the things that we were doing, like any other nonprofit, is we'd get donors and we'd put in a lot of money out of our own pockets every year. And it's part of the reason why we created the app. And I figured, why not create something that can help us actually raise funds, not only for us, but then we can leave our partners in each community we visit with the resources to raise more money to continue the mission. And so our goal this year is 100,000 meals this year, and we think we can achieve it through the app and through the local partnerships.
All right, before we get into the Oak Out Hunger Tour, give me the details on the app for those watching.
Yeah, so we created a game that's called Predict 5. It's based on Sunday, America's passion for the NFL. I mean, it's the biggest sport in the world. It's the biggest day of the year. And what we allow people to do is play what we call the Big Sunday game, and you make 5 projections, player projections, on your favorite team. And so for every dollar in entry fees, we give 40 cents to the nonprofit partner of choice. So in this case, for every $10, we can serve 3 meals to the Charles Oakley Foundation.
And what is the website?
It's predict5.app. You can find it in Apple and Google Play.
Okay, and now tell me about the Oak Out Hunger Tour that you guys are on, because I know you started it in Cleveland, right?
Ohio State. And
I saw you guys on Fox in Cleveland.
Yeah, so we're rolling now. This is stop number 3. We were at Notre Dame and Texas A&M for a weekend. We're back in Chicago. Obviously, we both have roots here, so it's always fun to give back to those communities. Chicago's an interesting stop because we're doing a little guerrilla. We made about 200 sandwiches this morning, and we're going to work with Precinct 1 guys and District 1 guys in their community outreach. And later on today, we're going to be passing out sandwiches and meals to those that need it. So sometimes we do it with a mission where we actually go in all day in a house, and other times we just want to get out on the street. Because when Charles interacts with the people, it means so much more. It's not just that sandwich, and it's just not a photo op for us. Like, we've been up all day, like, making the sandwiches, and we're going to pass them out. And people appreciate it. A guy that gets a sandwich from Charles on the street is like, wow, this is special. Like, we're out there. Yeah. And that's what's special about Oak Out Hunger. It's not a photo op. I mean, we, like I said, do all the work. Charles is in the kitchen in the morning at 5.
What's your favorite meal to cook?
My favorite meal, that's a good question, but I just like cooking, and I think anything I put my hands on, I want to make sure it's good.
You're giving out meals here in Chicago,
right.
And you have been gone from this city for, we're talking 40 years now, because you were drafted by the Bulls in 1985.
Yep.
You played 3 seasons with the Bulls. But everyone still knows Charles Oakley. I live in the South Loop, and they're like, hey, did you know Charles Oakley lives in the South Loop?
I will live.
All right, I go to a restaurant. We have so many mutual friends.
Right.
Tell me, why do you think you and Chicago just were such a great match?
It's just when I came here, they had Michael Jordan, and, I guess the year before he came in, but the team wasn't that good. And when I came in, I just fit right in, played hard, no nonsense guy, and people watch you over the years and see how you carry yourself, how you do things. And my thing is, my life, I've been consistent. I'm still a no nonsense guy. I respect people, but I like to give back to people too. So now it's just showing another side of me. And I'm just, like I said, I was staying in the South Loop. I just walk down to the Jewel grocery store, Whole Food, go to Lifetime, or, go work out. People just see me, So I was always out, and that was just try to, some people at, levels think they can't be out. Just be normal. Just be regular.
Oakley was an enforcer during his 19-year NBA career. He was Michael Jordan's bodyguard for 3 of those seasons here in Chicago. Okay, Patrick Ewing's back for 10 years in New York. Tomorrow on CST, Oak shares his disappointment towards his relationship, his friendship with Patrick Ewing. You don't want to miss this. Part 2 of my conversation with Charles Oakley Thursday on CST. Coming up, you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone who knows the Chicago Bulls better than Casey Johnson. Tina Nguyen gets deep about this year's Bulls team with Casey. Next here on CST. CST, NBA delivered in its season opener Tuesday night. Thunder raised its championship banner before outlasting KD and the Rockets. Warriors balanced foursome of Butler, Curry, Kuminga, and Hield. Much too much for Luke and Austin Reeves. Eastern Conference featured tonight: Cavs, Knicks, Bucks, Celtics, Bulls. Bulls finished strong last year, 15-5 before losing the play-in game. This year, though, the Bulls, same faces, just a year older. Leading scorer Kobe White's been sidelined with a strained right calf for at least the next 2 weeks. Modest Buzelis just turned 21 years old, and $100 million man Josh Giddey, Josh Giddey just hopes to keep putting up triple-doubles. For more on this year's Bulls, Tina Nguyen sat down with CHSN's Casey Johnson.
They are coming off a season that saw them finish 9th in the East, 39-43 record overall. Casey, a lot of young stars on this team. Josh Giddey inked a 4-year, $100 million contract. Modest Buzelis enters his second season. Isaac Okoro also now on this team, adding some defensive help. But Kobe White, Ayo's still here, the rookie Noah Essengay, and of course, Vooch, he is also still here. So first off, let's start here. What have you heard about the offseason? Who's been in and out of the gym? Who's been locked inside the gym too?
Well, as you know, after Labor Day, pretty much everyone comes to the Advocate Center and starts working out. I actually was there last week and ran into a few guys. Everyone's very excited for the season to start. As you saw, 5 of those guys, Dalen Terry, Modest Buzelis, Patrick Williams, Kobe White, and Ayo Dosunmu were out in Springfield, Massachusetts for Billy Donovan's Hall of Fame. So there's a lot of good vibes right now. As far as offseason, I put that talk in perspective. I mean, everyone has a great offseason, right? But I mean, one guy that might surprise you that I've heard has had a good offseason is Dalen Terry. Okay. So sometimes consider an afterthought. Let's see what he's got this season, right? But, it's going to be an interesting season as they always are.
Okay. Let's talk about Josh Giddey because they just re-signed him this past offseason. How does he fit into this long-term vision for this organization? Well,
I mean, it was clear, even though there was some hand-wringing amongst the fan base, that there was a long-term marriage at some point between these two parties. The Bulls did not trade Alex Caruso for Josh Giddey to let him hit unrestricted free agency. So they got a deal done. And you saw last year after the Zach LaVine trade, they really trust him to run the offense, Billy Donovan's fast-paced, high-profile offensive system, and you're going to see him have a high usage rate. Okay. And obviously the Bulls hope they get the Josh Giddey that finished last season as opposed to the one that started last season when, in Josh's own words, he was trying to defer too much.
Okay. Let's talk about who is the #1 elite scorer on this team, because you enter this season without Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan, so who is it?
It's Kobe. Okay. I mean, Vooch obviously can still score when he needs to, but he's at a point where he obviously just kind of reads the offense and is more of a secondary or supplemental scoring piece. I mean, Kobe is, to me, going to be the guy that's going to have to provide the bulk of the offensive scoring, especially on nights when, guys are having difficulty scoring. Kobe has the ability to score from 3 different levels. You'd also like to see Modest Buzelis take a jump from the offensive standpoint. In his, times as a starter, he averaged close to 13 points a game. Maybe you'd like to see that number around 15 points a game now that he moves into a full-time starting role.
So you mentioned Kobe. So Kobe and Ayo are entering their final season in their contract. How much does this complicate things for this front office, especially with the re-signing of Josh Giddey? What are they going to do?
Yeah, I mean, I've reported multiple times that Ayo Dosunmu was involved in some trade talks last offseason. So, I mean, sometimes you try to proactively get ahead of those situations and make sure you don't lose a player for nothing. I want to emphasize, though, that both those players are valued extremely high internally. Mm-hmm. But to your point, they're headed for unrestricted free agency, and with Josh Giddey being a focal point for this front office, Do you maybe see one of those guys on the trade block throughout this season? I think that's one thing that you're going to have to see from both those guys is the ability to block out rumors, block out the noise. Both players have been extremely professional in their time here in Chicago, so I expect more of the same.
You mentioned Modest Buzelis just now. He's entering his second season. We saw him really take a jump there after the All-Star break, but going into this second year, what's he been working on this offseason, and how crucial is it for someone like him, a young player like him, to really take a step forward here?
Yeah, I mean, you saw in Summer League a little bit more ball handling responsibility. I mean, I don't think you're going to see him in a lot of screen and roll just because Billy Donovan's offensive system doesn't really focus or feature that. But I think that's why you saw that happen in Summer League, just to see if he has that tool in his bag, so to speak. One thing the emphasis will be on from the coaching staff for Modest is the grab and go component. I mean, he's a very good rebounder with his athleticism, his length, and he's got ball handling ability. So it can't always be Josh Giddey bringing the ball up. You're going to see Josh Giddey kind of in that grab and go mode. And as far as offensively, you want to see him get to the line more. Obviously he has the ability to make the three-point shot, but you want to see him play through contact a little bit more and just be consistent. I mean, as I mentioned before, I mean, he's only started 31 games. I mean, he was off the bench for the majority of last season. So now that he moves into that full-time starting role, can he take a jump?
Well, what are you expecting from the 12th overall pick, Noah Essengay?
I'm expecting some drives out to Hoffman Estates. I mean, I don't want to be harsh on the kid, right?
Okay.
I mean, he's very young. He's very raw. He has played professionally, so let's not overlook that. But I also saw him in Summer League, and he's got to learn the pace of the NBA. He's got to get stronger. You saw last year Billy Donovan bring Modest Buzelis along very, very slowly. He does not believe in entitlement minutes. And Noah's a project. So that's not a bad thing for him to go out to Windy City and play for Billy Donovan III, another Billy Donovan. And, develop in that way. I think you'll see him get times some minutes in the NBA, but I think mostly he's going to be more of a development piece.
So Casey, Vegas has the win total set at over under 32.5. Are you taking the over or the under for that one?
You know I'm not a gambler, Tina, but if I was a gambling person, I would take the over. Here's why.
Okay.
First of all,
I like the over for this. 32.5. I feel like that's low.
Yeah. First of all, let's just start here. We know that the Bulls' philosophy is not to tank.
Right.
They don't believe in tanking. They try to win every game. So let's start there.
Billy has said before they want to stay competitive.
Yeah, and let's also just focus on the fact that the East is really up for grabs.
Yeah.
I mean, you've obviously got the terrible, significant injuries to Jason Tatum and Tyrese Halliburton. I don't know who's winning the East. I'm not saying the Bulls are, but I don't think they're going to lose 50 games in that conference while they have a winning mentality, trying to win every game. And then the other thing is, they're pretty well suited for the regular season because they may not have a ton of all-stars, but they do have depth. And with the style of play that they have and their depth, they can wear down enough teams that I think they'll be fine.
Casey Johnson, thanks for the time.
Thanks for having me, Tina.
All right, that's going to wrap up tonight's show. For Cassie Carlson, Dan Weeder, Charles Oakley, Bo Gray, Tina Wynn, and Casey Johnson, I'm Lou Canellis. Thanks for watching. Thursday, Blackhawks back in action. They've got Tampa Bay on the schedule, and we'll have the latest with the Bears from Lake Forest. Charles Oakley also will open up about a former teammate who has let him down, and Nick Costas makes us all money ahead of the weekend. It comes your way Thursday night here on CST. Till then, see ya.